Today we're talking about starter replacement on our Mk4 platform of Volkswagen cars. So this will pretty much cover your Golfs, your Jettas, and your Beetles for at least the 1.8 and the 2 liter. The VR6 in those cars may be a little bit different, but it should be just about the same. So this right here is a 1999, late 1999 Volkswagen Jetta. This is our $400 Jetta that we bought. And I just want to show you guys real quick on how to remove and replace the starter. So this has our 2 liter normally aspirated, single airway cam engine and our automatic transmission. If you have a manual transmission, it might be a little bit different, but it should be just about the same. And the first thing we have to do is remove the battery, and of course removing the battery cable. So let's go ahead and get started on that. Okay, so disconnecting the battery here, we're going to take our negative side off first. I already had the negative side on this battery off because this car's got a little bit of a parasitic draw. Also, I have the airbox out of this vehicle as well, so you can take the airbox off. It's not really required, but it does make it a little bit easier. So we're going to take our 10 millimeter. First thing I'm going to do is disconnect the fuse box portion from the battery. This, of course, is after I disconnect my negative battery terminal. That needs to happen first. So we'll just flip this out of the way. You may have some type of holder or something on here on top of the battery. Just go ahead and get that out of the way. Then we are going to disconnect our positive cable with the 10 millimeter. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and disconnect the battery holder here. This one actually doesn't have one, but there should be a little metal plate that has a 13 millimeter on it that holds this battery in. And so once you get that off, this will come out. Actually, it looks like somebody just threw this metal plate down in here. Let's see if I can go ahead and get it out so I can show you guys what it looks like. You may have to take this piece off right here, which is the inspection part for the headlights. And it's just 2 Phillips head right there. But this is what that metal plate looks like here, and it's got that 13 millimeter on it. And this is what holds the battery down. Mine was just installed incorrectly, so that'll have to come out, and then you get the battery out. Okay, so now we have to take our battery tray out. This will be accomplished by removing the 10 millimeters that are all around here. So you have 2 10s right here that will keep this fuse box holder, kind of conduit here for the wires. We're going to go ahead and get this out of the way. Now, you don't have to take the battery box out, but it makes it a lot easier. A lot of times you can just sneak this out through the bottom, especially on some cars, but a lot of times it just makes it easier just to pull all the way out. Like so. And this will just come off. It just clicks in. And then we have 10s here. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll take those out. You may have some corrosion here due to the fact that the battery may leak down here and rust some of these bolts. It's not ever fun. So you may, when you go back with this, may want to put some oil or some anti-seize on these screws. Excuse me, not screws, but bolts that hold all of this together. So yeah, they get a little bit seized up under here. And again, these are 10 millimeters. I got a little bit of an extension. And of course, the deep well on here. Doesn't have to be a deep well though. It can be a shallow for this. This is going to be easier with air or power tools. However, it doesn't make for good video with all the noise, so I'm just going at this by hand. Like I said, you're going to want to remove the air box and the bottom of the air box as well, and then this will slide out. And so you'll be able to see most of the starter here once you get this out. Okay, so after we get the battery tray out of the way, we've got this bunch of wires here. We're gonna have to disconnect this harness right here, and a lot of times these wires will be pushed into this wiring harness cover here. So we just grab this and kind of move this out of the way. And so what we're going to be removing now is the, let's see here, see if I can get it off. This is your wire that goes to the starter, and this one's actually damaged, so I'm going to repair that before we put it back, because that's going to be a hot wire and you don't want that rolling around in there with a possible ground touching it and causing an issue there. So that is definitely a problem there, and so we'll take care of that. Has nothing to do with the yours shouldn't be like that. It's probably just something that's happened along the way. And so now we're going to take off the positive battery cable. You'll see a 13 millimeter, I believe that's what it is, right here underneath the starter. Sure that's the right size here. See, it feels more like a 12. Some of these apparently are 12. So put this on there. Yeah, so that's a 12 millimeter. Here's maybe a 13. Pretty sure I remember that being a 13 on there, but this might be an aftermarket starter on here, and it might have a different size bolt. Take this off right here. And it'll have a washer on it as well. So there's the bolt right here. And it will have a little washer on it, so make sure you keep that. That's just to keep it tight. And we can just put this out of the way somewhere. So now that we got this out of the way, we'll be getting this plastic piece off. And there will be a 13 millimeter underneath here that holds this plastic piece on. And you may have to struggle a little bit with the wiring. More of a feel thing than anything. Go. Once I get this off, I'll show you where this nut goes. It's a little bit easier to see once it's off the car. It's hard to get to with your hand. Get something on it there. Should be able to twist it off with our hands here. Some of these bolts under here might be a little, corroded because of the battery. There's where that little 13 is. Okay, and then we're going to pull this out of the way. So this is what holds this wire and harness into place. And once you get this out of the way, you'll see I believe this is a 16 millimeter right here, and we're going to take that out as well. Let's see, so yeah, it's right here. Just want to make sure you can see it on camera. There's also underneath here, I'm going to show you there's a line. I'm going to go ahead and lift up the car, and then we'll remove the bottom bolt in that line. I'm going to go ahead and remove this top bolt first though. So pretty sure this is 16. No, actually, it's going to be a 17. A 17 or an 18. Let's see. Actually, 18. There it is, 18 millimeter. Some of these transmission bolts are going to be 16, so shouldn't be on here too tight. And once you get it off, it should just come out pretty easily. It's in between finger tight and ratchet tight, so let's see if I can get this to spin off. It's kind of hard to get your hand around. This bolt right here has got the threaded part on the back end of it, and that's where that wiring harness protector right there bolts up to. And this goes all the way through to the bell housing into the engine as well, so it's a pretty long bolt, which is why it's taking a little bit of time to get out. That bolt's just going to hang there. Let's go ahead and lift the car up, and then we'll take the bottom bolt off. Okay, here's the bottom side. You may have a plate or something here covering all this up, so if you do, just go ahead and remove that. You'll need to do that to get to this right here, and you'll see a 10 millimeter right here, and then beyond that it's going to be another 18, and that's going to be the last thing that holds this starter on. So this is your power steering high pressure line. So let's go ahead and see if I can get a little bit more light on here. Let y'all see what that looks like here. So this is 10, and then behind that is the next one, which is, I believe, an 18. Go ahead and zip those off real quick. Sorry, there's a 13 right here. 13. Accidentally picked up a 12 there, so need something a little bit more strong. Felt like my 1/4 inch was about to develop a problem trying to take that bolt off. It was a little tighter than I first thought. We'll go ahead and get this bolt, this nut out of here. So there's a little bracket that holds that high pressure power steering line on. We just move it out of the way, and then we have access to that These bolts can be seized up as well, and I've seen them rust in half as well. So if you live from a rust-prone state, you want to grab you some more bolts. And as you're doing this, the starter will start to kind of sag, so you want to kind of press it up. It's a lot easier to do with air tools, but there we go. All right, so we'll go ahead and go back to the top. We'll take it out from the top. All right, so once you get those bolts out, you should be able just to pull the starter out of the car. And again, just you just want to check over everything, and I'm going to try to do another video of diagnosing the starter circuit as well. So I'll try to put that in the video somewhere so y'all can click on that if y'all are having an issue with these starter circuits, because they're fairly easy circuits, and I have wiring diagrams and everything I can put up on the board. I can walk you all the way through the circuit, so we'll do that on the next video. Okay, one thing you may want to do is these starter bolts, see how long they are, but let me see if I can get the camera to focus here. They have a lot of corrosion on these, maybe some oil and dirt and stuff like that. And this is where your starter is going to ground at, so you definitely want to clean these up if you're going to reuse them or replace them. So I just take a wire brush on my grinder here, and we'll just clean these up real quick. Okay, here is our bolt that I just ran through our wire wheel here, and I just ran the wire over this, and I cleaned off the shank and the shoulder of this bolt. So it's hard. You have to remember that the starter is going to ground through these bolts directly to the engine, and directly that's going to go back to the battery. So we have to make sure these bolts are clean. I have seen where these bolts get dirty and you have a dragging starter or a little bit of resistance in the starter circuit, maybe some lower cranking amperages and things like that coming out of the battery. So we need to make sure that this is going to be good and clean or replaced. So you have two of these. This is just one of them. I'm going to go ahead and shine up the other one and put this back in. Also, installation is the same. You just want to, kind of hand tighten both of these in before you tighten one or the other, and make sure that you don't pinch any of the wiring when you put it all back together. Okay, that does it for our starter installation on our Mk4 Jetta. So if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments, and also like the video if it taught you anything, and subscribe for them. I'm also on Facebook, Instagram, VK, Twitter, a lot of different places. Whenever there's social media, if you just look for me on there. So go ahead and like and subscribe me on there as well. And we'll see you next time for